Back to, oh my God, look at that.
Wow.
That's
Oh
in the
my
city.
God.
Take cover
Take
immediately.
cover immediately. This
Yes,
is very
It's
ladies and
not
gentlemen,
the
this is a large tornado on the ground. Please
There's debris.
take cover immediately.
Large debris.
This is a very violent. You need to protect your life. Forget the property, protect your life from a possible large damaging tornado.
So we are now calling a tornado emergency for Tuscaloosa, a large dangerous tornado that is approaching Tuscaloosa from the south and west.
This is really just awful news, isn't it?
Yes, it's very terrible. So it is doing extensive damage and a dangerous tornado in progress in the Tuscaloosa metro area.
April 27, 2011, the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Alabama tornado, the Terrorizer of Tuscaloosa. The date is April 27, 2011, a warm morning in Tuscaloosa. You happen to be a student at the University of Alabama located in the heart of the city. The forecast calls for some thunderstorms later in the day, but it's nothing far from your usual spring system, so you brush it off and get ready for class. It is now 4:26 p.m. CST. You have a window between your current class and your next class, so you decide to use it for some free time. You notice the rain starts to pick up and begin to grow a little paranoid, but you keep your cool and head to campus town for some food. The time on your phone now reads 4:43 p.m. The rains are getting heavier and the winds are getting stronger. You start to notice that this is a little bit of unusual weather that you're usually used to, so you decide to head back to your dorm to stay safe. As you start to head back to your dorm, you hear the tornado sirens in the distance start blaring. Panic and following normal safety precautions, you get to the nearest building for a shelter. The nearest building happens to be another business that's in campus town. The radio inside the store starts screaming the emergency alert system tone, followed by the words, "The National Weather Service in Birmingham, Alabama has issued a tornado emergency for Tuscaloosa, Holt, Concord, and Pleasant Grove. A confirmed large and destructive tornado is on the ground. Take cover now." Your heart is racing. You start praying you'll be okay, but unfortunately, it's too late. The winds grow to 190 miles per hour and it sounds like a freight train is right on top of you. And in an instant, you get picked up and ultimately meet your demise. You were just in the shoes of Ashley T. Harrison, one of the 6 University of Alabama students who tragically lost their lives this day. This tornado etched a deadly path across central Alabama, leaving communities unrecognizable, businesses in ruins, and lives changed forever. Today we're looking back at the storm, the science behind it, and the humanitarian impact that followed, the Tuscaloosa-Birmingham tornado. This tornado was just one of 62 tornadoes that tore through Alabama that day. But what made not just this tornado, but this outbreak so extreme and unforgettable? The atmosphere had a perfect mix of ingredients: warm, moist air from the Gulf, a strong jet stream, and a powerful cold front clashing over the southeast. This created prime conditions for severe thunderstorms that rotate and are capable of producing tornadoes, which are also known as supercells. The Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma issued a high-risk area across the Tennessee Valley, across states like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee. They forecasted for an extremely rare, high risk of tornadoes to be expected across this region. Following the extremely rare high risk, the Storm Prediction Center issued a 45% hatch risk for tornadoes. This means that essentially tornadoes are 45 times more likely to happen in this area, or that there is a 1 in 2 chance of a tornado happening in this area. As far as I've known at the date of this has been made, there have only been 8 previous 45% hatch areas made in history. Following these predictions from the Storm Prediction Center, they issued a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch over across much of the high-risk area. This meant that whatever happened today was going to be a particularly dangerous situation, and that this is a very serious event to occur. Following the issuance of such extreme predictions for these storms to happen, the Storm Prediction Center issued that all weather forecasting offices that are in the region of this high-risk area to perform a third weather balloon launch at 1 p.m. CST for more data on what may happen in this event. Usually, these offices launch 2 weather balloons daily, once at 6 a.m. and once at 6 p.m. As they do their soundings, the morning one comes back with around 3,400 joules per kilogram of CAPE in the atmosphere. Now, CAPE stands for Convective Available Potential Energy, Basically, what this is a energy that is measured by these weather balloons that are sent up into the atmosphere, and CAPE is the amount of instability that is in the atmosphere that's available for these storms to produce more and more and more. Now, the National Weather Service says that anything over 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE is enough to produce severe thunderstorms. But whenever you have anything over that, that just adds to the extremity and the rate that these thunderstorms are able to produce, and eventually dropping tornadoes that can be devastating, like this one. As early as the morning hours, tornadoes had already touched down in parts of Mississippi and Alabama. By afternoon, the conditions rapidly intensified over Dixie Alley, setting the stage for the worst case scenario.
Look at that.
Right, and this thing is still southwest of downtown Tuscaloosa, moving northeast, right toward the middle of Tuscaloosa. The last time we had one like that in that part of town, one this big, was probably March 21st, 1932, even before my time. Destroyed so much of Tuscaloosa and Northport. But again, that is a huge tornado that is moving right up on downtown Tuscaloosa.
At 4:43 p.m., a tornado touched down southwest of Tuscaloosa, and within minutes, it became a massive wedge growing over a mile wide. The tornado tore through Tuscaloosa, reaching winds of 195 miles per hour, slamming neighborhoods, businesses, and in the University of Alabama's surrounding area, leaving it in rubble.
Look at that. Goodness gracious. This will be a day that will go down in state history. And all you can do is pray for those people.
After decimating Tuscaloosa, the tornado continued northeast, heading towards Birmingham. It continued to rip up trees, leaving them debarked and looking like toothpicks. This is the remains of the Scott Bridge that's located just northeast of Tuscaloosa. This bridge is over 100 years old with an estimated weight of 2,000 tons, or 4 million pounds. The tornado then went into Jefferson County. Residents braced for impact, but unfortunately, efforts to follow all safety precautions were just not enough for some, leaving 64 dead.
35th Street,
Stillman College.
Greensboro Avenue. Get to
Stillman
a safe
College.
place. There goes the Skycam.
Okay, we lost the signal there. All right, let's zoom into it. The last image we've got of that large tornado in Tuscaloosa, you saw that flash, and then that's when everything blacked out in downtown Tuscaloosa. But again, this is look at this. There's your debris ball right here, okay? It seems to be pretty much on the interstate, and obviously nobody should be along the interstate. We've got this debris ball. It's picked up a lot of debris now that it's over a populated area, and that'll be coming right through the intersection, right down Skyland Boulevard here and Interstate 5920. And again, it is so close, I can't rule anybody out. It looks like it's going to be the southern part of the city of Tuscaloosa with the greatest issues here.
Communities like Pleasant Grove and Pratt City were hit hard, with entire streets reduced to nothing. By the time the tornado dissipated near Ohatchee, Alabama, it had claimed 64 lives and injured over 1,500. In the days that followed, rescue efforts were in full swing.
Flipped my truck over the interstate and
You were headed that way?
Yes, sir. I was headed.
Okay,
I was headed
southbound.
Southbound in the southbound lane. My truck now in the northbound lane, but there was one guy. All the people that was in the cars didn't have time to get up the hill. The wind was hitting me, and I just barely had time to get up. But I got up under the bypass and just held on, and I know I got rocks and glass all in my truck.
Countless volunteers, first responders, and philanthropies like the Red Cross worked day and night to provide aid for those affected. The devastation that was seen not just in Tuscaloosa but also on this day was so severe that President Barack Obama at the time had to come down, and he took a tour throughout all these cities that were no longer standing, and he had to go through and really see what these residents had to embrace during the storm. And because since he's the president, he was able to help these people out, get them more food, water, anything they needed, housing, ways to rebuild after this tragic event.
I want to express, first of all, our deepest condolences to not just the city of Tuscaloosa, but the state of Alabama and all the other states that have been affected by this unbelievable storm. We just took a tour, and I've got to say, I've never seen devastation like this. It is heartbreaking. Their neighbors have lost 2 of their grandchildren in the process. What you're seeing here is the consequence of just a few minutes.
The 2011 super outbreak changed the way we approach severe weather. Warning systems have improved. More homes have tornado shelters and built up to code to withstand these winds. And now meteorologists continue to study these storms to save lives and property and to find the true science behind these storms. April 27, 2011 remains one of the darkest days in Alabama history. At the time at which this tornado occurred, this tornado was the costliest tornado of all time, racking in a total of $2.4 billion of damage. Now, if that record may seem unreachable, this record was broken less than a month later by the Joplin, Missouri EF5 tornado that costed $2.8 billion. But out of the tragedy came rebounds, unity, and a determination to rebuild the communities that were affected. This was a storm that changed lives forever. The damage is still seen in Tuscaloosa today. Little to no tree coverage in areas and driveways that lead to no houses serve as a reminder to this tragic event. Those impacted have never forgotten the pure destruction this storm caused. This is one of the numerous monuments that are spread around Tuscaloosa that are honoring these survivors and volunteers. If you would like to read, you can go ahead and pause the video to fully read this full, truly well-read document. The aftermath of this outbreak proved the strength of the indomitable human spirit to come out on top and be the leading factor in every situation. Now, I will leave you with this quote from President Barack Obama on the 1-year anniversary after this tragic event. For every name, let us all remember there is a face, a story, a life that was cherished by those who knew them. For every name, there is immeasurable and almost unbearable grief for those who loved them. Remembering those called home on 4/27/2011.